Hey, what up, guys? If you're new to the channel, welcome. So this is going to be another Star Wars reaction video. This one is called Every Single Mandalorian Warrior Type and Variant Explained. Shout out to Red5 for providing this video, and credit goes to him. Now, when it comes to Mandalorians, in my opinion, they are one of my favorites, just like Clone Troopers, because the very first game that I ever played in my life that was Star Wars, actually, it is the very first Star Wars game I ever played in my life, what I'm saying. It was on GameCube called Star Wars Bounty Hunter, and the main character of that was Jango Fett. I played it on GameCube, and it was my favorite on the GameCube, because like I said, that's what really got me into Star Wars, and that's what really exposed me to that universe. So that's what I really like about it. And Jango was a Mandalorian, so that's why I was like, man, Mandalorians are really cool. And then I got exposed more into the clone troopers and like all that in Star Wars Battlefront on PlayStation 2. So I guess you could say like Mandalorian is the very first type group in Star Wars universe that I was exposed to. Now I'm really excited to see what type of warriors and variants there are, but judging by what I see on the thumbnail, I see Paz Vizsla, and I also see Gar Saxon, because the Shadow Collective, their armor, in my opinion, is amazing. So without anything else, let's jump into the video.
There once was a time when the only Mandalorians seen on screen were fan favorites who died in the most underwhelming ways. But thanks to the success of shows like The Clone Wars, Rebels, and of course, The Mandalorian, that's all changed. And we're not even taking into account the vast amount of Legends material that existed previously. Mandalorians are now on another level of popularity, and that's all thanks to Baby Yoda. I'm joking, put down the Beskar pitchforks. Over the last number of weeks, we've been covering the various armies in Star Wars and discussing their classes of infantry units.
I have all those videos saved up, don't worry.
Imperial Death Troopers, and Separatist droidicas. And thanks to plenty of suggestions in the comments of those videos, today we're taking things in another direction and bringing you every single Mandalorian warrior variant explained.
I'm really excited for this one.
Before we begin, we must clarify that we're discussing variations of the infantry units, not necessarily different houses or clans of Mandalorians. For example, Death Watch or the Night Owls. That's another video for another day. We're more going to focus on variations in armor, weaponry, and specializations of these Mandalorians. A few characteristics remain consistent through them all. Beskar armor, which protected the wearer from blaster fire and was lightsaber resistant. Helmets with a T-shaped visor, and individualized armor which could reflect personal accomplishments, clan affiliation, or simply personal preference. But let's dive into the various types of Mandalorian warriors. This is the way. We begin with our first variant, the Mandalorian Crusaders.
Whoa, look at that armor.
Documented Mandalorians established by Mandalore I. The Mandalorian Crusaders placed the highest value on gaining honor and glory in combat. The Crusaders roamed space, seeking war, making conquered worlds their home. Mandalorian Crusaders wore individually customized armor, often incorporating organic materials, with the hard parts of the armor decorated with spikes and straps. It had a jagged, organic, bone-like form that varied from soldier to soldier. The design of Crusader armor
looks like they skinned like some sort of beast for that one.
Melee combat, which the ancient Mandalorians considered to be the most honorable form of battle. Crusaders often employed Zim Systems rocket packs, an early version of the more modern jetpack. The warriors were known to ride the open-mount Basilisk war droids in space.
All those, I've seen those a few times.
Was airtight and included enough oxygen to allow a Mandalorian Crusader 10 hours of breathable air in the vacuum of space, likely a result of the mounts. The Mandalorian
10 hours.
Crusaders came next, an evolution of the Crusaders led by Mandalore the Ultimate after the Great Sith War. Neo Crusader armor was standardized, with suits colored to correspond with the position of the wearer, in order to foster a sense of unity among the many species being recruited into the Neo Crusader movement. Neo Crusader armor came in 4 colors, each corresponding to a rank: silver for veterans on the front line, gold for field marshals, crimson for rally masters, and blue for all others. Later
Oh,
in
I
the
didn't know
war,
that.
new armors were developed for use by special units, such as the Neo-Crusader shock troopers. The armor had a few advantages over the earlier Crusader armor, including a harder surface. The Mandalorian Neo-Crusaders indeed used Beskar iron to forge their armor, and guarded the secret of producing it from the rest of the galaxy. However, the process of forging Beskar was incredibly long and extremely tedious during this period of galactic history. A millennia later, we arrive at the true Mandalorian Super
Django.
Commandos, not to be confused with another version of Super Commando that we'll get to in a few minutes. The Mandalorian Super Commando armor was developed to replace the older designs. It was no longer full-body armor, but partial armor that left non-vital limbs almost completely undefended, and focused on its strength on the vital areas, such as the torso, head, and groin. The new armor was a collection of blast-resistant plates, which were attached to a flight suit. This careful layering of segmented armor plates ensured mobility, which could be further increased by wearing a jetpack.
Damn, he
At
got
this
messed
point,
up.
Mandalorians also began to see the value of extra weapons mounted on their suits, and therefore dart shooters, grappling wires, wrist-mounted rocket launchers, and flamethrowers were added to the overall assault capabilities
And whistling
of
birds.
a Mandalorian Super Commando's armor. Death Watch was a Mandalorian terrorist splinter group led by Pre Vizsla of House Vizsla that opposed the pacifist government of the New Mandalorians and Duchess Satine Kryze during the Clone Wars. Death Watch had their own version of Mandalorian armor, similar to the true Mandalorians, made from Beskar that originated from the mines of one of Mandalore's moons, Concordia. Death Watch wore predominantly blue armor with shoulder armor insignias to identify ranks or specializations. Airborne troopers specialized in the use of airborne tactics. They were designated with a yellow and red symbol. Flamethrower troopers specialized in the use of flamethrowers. Their
I thought they all
insignia
had
was black
flamethrowers.
and yellow. Grappling troopers utilized whipcord launchers against enemies and were designed with a black and white symbol that also appeared on their chest plates. Most of Death Watch's forces carried Galar 15 blaster carbines or Westar 35 blaster pistols. After Darth Maul killed the Death Watch leader Pre Vizsla in battle and proclaimed himself as leader of Death Watch and rightful owner of the Darksaber, Death Watch split in two. Many remained with Maul, while others believed an outsider could not sit upon the Mandalorian throne and fled
Like
under the
Bo-Katan.
leadership of Bo-Katan Kryze. While those who left with Bo-Katan remained relatively unchanged from their Death Watch look, Darth Maul's new Mandalorian Super Commandos underwent
look really
a
cool.
drastic makeover. They altered their Beskar armor to reflect their allegiance to the Dathomirian. In addition to painting their armor red and black, some commandos sought to better resemble their Night Brother leader by fashioning horns onto their helmets. The Imperial Super Commandos,
Those look
led by
amazing.
former Maul loyalist Gar Saxon, were Mandalorian warriors loyal to the Galactic Empire and disgraces to the Mandalorian way. Their Imperial Super Commando armor bore visual similarities to stormtroopers in order to reflect their alignment with the Imperial regime. It was typically
have no
all white,
Beskar.
however, it could be highlighted with various colors to denote status. Saxon, as the Imperial Viceroy of Mandalore, added red paint, and Tristan Wren, while a member of the Imperial Super Commandos, had yellow shoulder tips. Their helmets also had unique visors, and they were armed with less traditional Mandalorian blasters. The Mandalorian Protectors served as royal guards for the ruler of Mandalore and maintained balance in the warrior culture. The Mandalorian Protectors were one of the few traditions to continue during the time of the New Mandalorians, charged with protecting Duchess Satine. They were trained to show restraint in most situations, but could remain a formidable fighting force. The Royal Guard wielded staffs and wore heavy armor and an elaborate
Ooh.
helmet to protect their
Just
body.
deflecting bolts
This
like that.
unique uniform represented Mandalore's traditions of gallantry and discipline, while simultaneously rejecting the bloody and violent past of the warrior clans. The Journeyman Protectors were a sect of Mandalorian protectors based on Concord Dawn. The Journeyman Protectors notably flew the Fang-class starfighter and were known as the best pilots in the sector. Their armor was specifically designed for their role as elite pilots. Like clone or TIE pilot armor, it featured a chest-mounted breathing apparatus. Originally aligning with the Empire, the Journeyman Protector's skull leader, Fen Rao, eventually joined the rebellion. Mandalorian Crusader Mark II armor was developed by the Black Sun for the Galactic Empire during the Galactic Civil War. The Mark II armor resembled the
this I did not
Neo-Crusader
know.
light armor, developed about 4,000 years prior, but was made from alum, which was less tough than Beskar. The armor was worn by several Imperial officers throughout Star Wars Legends, even the Emperor's Hand, Mara Jade. Heavy infantry Mandalorians were incredibly rare. The only one we know of so far is Paz Vizsla. As you can probably guess, heavy infantry Mandalorians wore thicker and larger Beskar armor with reinforced plating and wielded heavy weapons. Paz Vizsla's left vambrace was equipped with a large wrist-mounted flamethrower and a shield projector. He also often wielded a heavy blaster cannon and vibro knife. He wore a kama and jetpack with gravity stabilizers for flight balance.
But that looks heavy as hell.
The idea of Paz Vizsla originated with Mandalorian writer and director Jon Favreau, who wanted to include a Mandalorian that had heavy armor such that they resembled a Mandalorian warrior on steroids. Concept artists worked hard to visualize those ideas, creating a number of designs for the
that actually looks cool
before the one we know was decided upon. By the time of the Second Imperial Civil War, 130 years after the Battle of Yavin in Legends, Mandalorian armor had taken on a more segmented appearance, providing the warrior with maximum coverage and mobility. The helmet design was seemingly inspired by early Boba Fett concept art, and went on to sorta appear in canon, worn by Obi-Wan Kenobi, disguised as the bounty hunter Rhaegal Hardeen. But which Mandalorian variant is your favorite? Whose armor do you think is the coolest? Let me know in the comments. Come join us to chat more at our community Discord server, linked in the description.
Alright, so there you guys have it. There was every single Mandalorian warrior type variant, and I gotta say, I really like this video. Now, the answer is question at the end, like which Mandalorian armor variant I like the best. I'm a little split. So, I'm split on the one where Jango Fett wears, like, cause I don't know, because that's the very first armor that I was exposed to, and like I said, Jango Fett was pretty much the number one or the very first Star Wars character that I was just like playing as in a video game. So it's either that one or the Shadow Collective, you know, Gar Saxon before he joined the Empire, because the red and the horns and the yellow visor, it looks amazing. So I'm a little split between those two. I can't pick. So those are the two I'm choosing. So I want to hear you guys. Which one would you choose? Put it down in the comments below. And also that would answer Red 5's question as well. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, because I really did. If you watched all the way to the end, thank you for that. And also hit that notification bell so you know when I drop another video. And thank you so much for your support. I really do appreciate it. And until then, I'll see you guys next time.